Good evening, everybody. Chef Marshall here, and this is Chef Marshall's Cooking with Confidence live interactive streaming cooking show. We come to you every Thursday night. Right now we're doing 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Really excited to be here. Before I talk about tonight's recipe, please make sure that if you are not following us but you're watching, follow us on Facebook, Chef Marshall O'Brien. Follow us on YouTube, Chef Marshall's Cooking with Confidence. Type that. We got some competition out there, to say the least. You can also follow us on Instagram at Chef Marshall O'Brien. And really excited, we are live streaming directly on our website at chefmarshallobrien.com/show. So please share this with your networks. Let everybody know. I tried to at least make a post on LinkedIn about it. Eventually, in the weeks ahead, we're going to be on multiple platforms. So I'm actually curious, where would you like to be watching this? We're going to be there most likely. So, but let me know. Anyways, great show, great recipe, and I think we should start it. And thank you so much for being here. You could be doing something else, but you chose to hang out with us. Really appreciate it. Tonight's recipe, it's awesome. Okay, double S, double P. Sautéed, spicy pork and peppers. Very delicious. And it's always easy, simple, quick, delicious, and nourishing. I think I forgot to talk about why we made the show. So we should do that. We made the show for 4 reasons, folks, and I always point this out just so you have context for why we're doing this. Number one, we want to give you a positive experience every week. We want to help you improve your skills or brush them up a little bit and confidence in the kitchen. We also want to help you take a little bit of stress out of the meal planning, and we want to help you nourish yourself and not just feed yourself. So there you have it. Again, that's the whole point of the show. Appreciate you being here. Like I said, got a great recipe. We're going to do the sautéed spicy pork and peppers. Very, very simple. Let's talk the ingredients. Okay, we've got pork. I'm actually going to show you how to break down the tenderloin for those of you that are not familiar with that. Pretty simple, little nuance, a little finesse on that. We got bell peppers, red onions. We have paprika, cumin, some garlic powder, dried parsley, a little salt, olive oil, and some faithful, trusty water. Okay, purified, the best water in the business thanks to the bottled manufacturer. All right, I'm being silly, but we do have some water. Okay, speaking of recipe, if you're tuning in right now and you're saying, hey, I want to do this, this looks kind of fun, chefmarshallobrien.com/show. Get the recipes in advance. They'll automatically come to you every Saturday morning, and then we send a reminder on Tuesday morning, but you get the recipes, and if you can cook with us in real time, fantastic. You now know we're streaming on the website, we're streaming on Facebook, streaming on YouTube, and soon other platforms. And if you want to do it on your own, you can always watch the replay on Facebook. Go to the YouTube channel, Chef Marshall's Cooking with Confidence, and you can do it on demand as well. Also, I want to make sure that we see your beautiful work because you spent all this time hanging out with me, at least for a half hour to 40 minutes. We average about a half hour. I want to see what you did, so take a picture of your dish. Okay? Please take a picture and then put it in the chat box or send it to me in email or a Facebook message, text it, whatever. Okay? There's 800 ways to get a hold of me, and I'm very accessible because I want to help you taste success in the kitchen. So, having said that, let's get going. I would like, yes, I was getting to that point. I want to say super thanks, as always, to producer Alex in the back for making this happen, and for my right-hand gal, Miss Jana, who is on the mic moderating. Put your courage in your fingertips. Type in a question, a comment. She will be answering. Hi, good evening. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. And we also have a recent addition to our production team, Azra, the inventor, creator, camera aficionado. What's your title right now? Olivia. Oh, she has a camera named Olivia. Anyway, she's running the camera, so big kudos to Olivia, aka my 6-year-old. So any camera magic you see, that's her, okay? I want to make sure she gets recognized for that. Nice job. Okay, moving forward. And we also have one more person who's kind of watching the whole big picture, mastermind, Isla, amazing 9-year-old Isla. She's behind the scenes, kind of the woman behind the curtain, right? Is that fair to say? Okay, cool. All right, moving forward, folks. We got a great recipe for you. First things first, I always say, you got your ingredients, you got your recipe, you have knife, cutting board. We're going to use a few different knives. I'm going to give you some technical, some technical culinary tactics on dealing with the pork tenderloin. Anybody wondering, well, what's the difference between tenderloin and the loin or the pork chop, right? Because there's a lot of different cuts of meat, obviously, just like with beef, just like with chicken. Well, same thing with pork. We have here, so we have the tenderloin. And if you're cooked with tenderloin, maybe you've cooked tenderloin with beef. Well, this is the pork tenderloin. It's about the size of my forearm, like the lower, and it's the length of my lower portion of my arm here. It reminds me of the baby space alien, if you ever saw never mind. Okay, moving forward. But this is the tenderloin. Now, if you had a beef tenderloin, it would be about 20 plus pounds and 3 times the size of this. But this is about 1.5 pounds or 1.25 pounds. Recipe calls for 1.5 pounds. I'm flexible on that. You do what you can do. You'll notice there's this kind of sinewy stuff on here, and there's some thick skin. And I want to show you how to clean that, because the thick, like this thin stuff here, not a big deal. It easily comes off. But this silver skin, as we call it, and you can see it right under here, that is really chewy, and you're not going to enjoy that. So what I suggest is if you have a fillet knife, just like this, or a meat slicer, you're going to insert a parallel cut with the knife and then turn it so it's perpendicular with the cutting board, and you're going to kind of peel it. And actually, I want to do it this way here. I'm going to go away from my body. Do you want some water?
I'm having it.
Okay, you're having a... All right, but you can see how I'm just cutting off that silver skin, because that silver skin is not going to be palatable. It's going to be chewy and tough. So we want to get rid of all that. I could have had this all done in advance, but I really wanted to give you a chance. How many of you are doing this right now? Let me know in the comments. Who's with us today, Jana? I'm curious. Any questions? Speaking of that, if you're watching for the first time, hopefully you're cooking with us in real time, and we want to know questions, comments, thoughts. How can we help you? With the non-silver skin stuff, you can easily peel it off. I just want to make sure that you're not taking off the meat, because there's a lot of edible meat here. Again, if you were doing a beef tenderloin, it would be gigantic compared to this, but it's the same principle of letting the knife do the work and just kind of sliding the knife underneath so it separates from the meat. Hope that makes sense. Questions, comments, thoughts?
Tess is asking, is it like the relationship between chicken tenders and chicken breasts?
That's a good question. So basically you've got with a chicken breast, let's say this is the big breast, and let's just pretend my thumb is that tender. Same principle, same analogy. Like that. I love that. All right, this is good. This is pretty much all done. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to cut it into, bite-sized pieces. And those are obviously not bite-sized pieces, but I'm starting there, and then I'll cut them up more. Questions, comments, thoughts? Folks, I want to make sure that you get your shopping list, your recipes in advance. Go to chefmarshallobrien.com/show. Maybe you're watching off of our website right there, and you're saying, hey, I want to do this. Well, just scroll down below, and you can sign up, and you will receive the recipes and shopping list automatically. Saturday mornings, we send them out, and then we do send out a reminder on Tuesday morning. Again, you can cook with us live, which is kind of what we really want you to do, because we love having you here and answering your questions. But you can always do when you want. And please submit your pictures. We want to see your hard work. Now, did that look hard, folks? How was that? I want to know what you thought. That look easy? We got bite-sized pieces there. Let me know in the comments, folks. What do we got? How was that? Bite-sized pieces just like that, okay? All right, we're all set. And now... Excuse me, pardon my loud, clangy sound.
Pamela is asking, are you going to pound this out?
I am not going to pound it out. We want bite-sized pieces, and so we're not going to pound it out. If I was doing a roulade, anybody know what a roulade is? Let me know in the chat. I will say in a second why I would pound that out. Potentially, you wouldn't even technically have to, but it wouldn't hurt. All right, I know there's a delay. That's why I'm waiting on that. Okay, my pan
She
is
says,
getting
forget it. I see now what you're doing.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let me just go on a quick tangent. Let's say you want to do a roulade. You could actually do that with this dish. What I would do, for those that are curious, roulade means basically rolled. So you could take the tenderloin, you could butterfly it open. That's actually a great idea. We should do that sometime. You butterfly it open. You would take your filling, and in this case, we could take, the onions and the bell peppers. This is a great culinary tip for you, by the way, the roulade piece. And then, saute them with the spices. Then put that in your butterfly dish, in your butterfly meat, and then roll it up, and then tie it with cooking twine, cooking with string, sear it, finish it in the oven or on the grill. Boom, that's a roulade. Very simple. I'm so glad that you asked about the pounding piece. Now, I didn't even say in the pounding of the roulade, the butterfly. You don't have to, but you could if you wanted to, but be careful that you don't pound it so much that you pierce through the meat, and then you have holes in your butterflied meat. There you have it. Okay, I digress. So, pan's getting hot. Yes, questions, comments,
Cheryl
thoughts?
wants to know, where do you purchase your meat at?
You can get, for our shows personally, like for my family, when we're cooking for my family, I like to go, whenever possible, I'll either do a meat share or I'll do wherever they're going to be selling local meat. So, co-ops, certain grocery stores will have relationships with locally grown, meat, oh my gosh, I'm having a loss for words. People that raise animals. Why is that? Because I really want to have animals that are raised as close to nature as possible. Just because a lot of studies have shown that the quality of the meat when they're free ranging and they're eating what they should normally be eating versus a strict diet to maximize yield and the growth of them. If they're eating with from a natural standpoint and they're not stressed and stuff, the quality of the meat is going to be a lot better and they're going to have more nutritional value. Now, having said that, I'm a big believer in that anything that you can do today that you were not doing yesterday that's positive is progress. So if just creating some great tasty and nourishing meals that work for you is a big step, awesome, okay? I don't want that to get in the way. I don't want where you find I don't want you to delay or have analysis paralysis because you're not getting it ideally perfect the way Chef said. I just want you to get great tasty nourishing foods into your life. So for tonight's stuff, I went, because I'm doing recipe development tomorrow, I went to our local Cub Foods, and I got what I needed, and it does what I need. So, great question. I like that, because you know what it's all about awareness and being conscious of what you're eating and where you're getting it. All right, pan is hot. We're going to take olive oil, and we're going to, on medium-high heat, we're going to add to the pan. And then we are going to add our pork along with the salt, and we're gonna cook it for a couple minutes, and then we will continue. Questions, comments, thoughts? I got to make sure this is hot. Now, last week, I think it was last week, we talked about how do we know the pan is hot. You can see here. Let's get shot 4, please, Olivia. Is that right? Got it right. Okay. You can see how the oil is wavy. It's shimmering. That means it's hot. And that's good. And we could certainly do the water test, or we can just toss a little piece in there. Always put it away from yourself. So I thought it was going to sizzle. Okay, it's sizzling a little bit. I'm going to let it heat up just a tad more, and then we will add questions, comments, thoughts. Questions, comments, thoughts. Anybody?
Pamela says farm to table.
Farm to table. As much as you can. As much as you can, the better. One thing I love about CSAs, for example, CSA, Community Support Agriculture. Well, you always think about vegetables, but they have fruit shares now. There's meat shares. There's all sorts of different ways that you can get locally grown food, whether it's meat, whether it's cheeses, whether it's vegetables, from farmers within your metro, or within your state. And they'll have them, you sign up, it's like a week, or it could be a quarter, or it could be months. Meat share, you usually get a bunch of the meat, have a lot of it frozen, and then you're basically set for the season. But farm to table, whenever possible, I think is absolutely dynamite. I sense some comments.
Dominic says yard to table.
Yard to table. I like that. Yes, I love that. You could have yard to table with pretty much anything. Now, if you have pet chickens, maybe that's to be debatable. Not sure on that.
Tess is wondering if it's okay to mention a name of a wonderful Minnesota farm.
Oh, please.
Yes, please.
Tess,
Go.
love that. Yeah, and I'd be happy to share some. One of our favorite, and we used to do the CSA, vegetable CSA with them for years, was Loon Organics in Hutchinson, Minnesota. Absolutely love them. I know that they are still doing farmers markets. You should check those guys out. They are amazing. They're pioneers in the organic farming, and they've actually been mentoring a lot of other CSA people, other farmers that want to do CSAs. But please, yes, if you've got resources and people you like, share in the chat box, folks. We want to make this a community for people to connect with and get the things they want. Now, speaking of getting what I want, this is sizzling. We're going to let this cook for 2 to 3 minutes. I'm getting some nice color on here. I added the salt. Just make sure that you don't burn it, because that olive oil, that olive oil isn't a super hot smoke point, so we want to keep it at the maximum medium high, but maybe you bring it down a little bit. Yes, questions, comments, thoughts?
Brendan wants to know, how spicy will this be, 1 to 10?
Brendan, appreciate the question. Awesome. It will be flavor spice, but not heat spice. And what I mean by that, because we could say spicy, it evokes that heat, sweating, discomfort, right? Burning of your mouth. No, not at all. This is about flavor. And that's a good distinction, and I appreciate you bringing that up. This is going to probably be a 2 out of 10. It's going to probably be an 8 or a 9 or a 10 out of 10 on flavor. Okay? But on the heat, we got pretty much nothing there. Okay, great. Yeah.
There's 2 questions.
Yes.
Let's see. One in the house, one in online. Pamela asks, can you use lard or Crisco instead of oil?
Appreciate you asking that. And I want to point this out. When we teach our Smart Nutrition philosophy, we focus on nutrition, sleep, hydration, and physical activity. Now, in the nutrition space, there's 3 things to focus on, and there's 4 things to avoid. On the 3 things to focus on, good protein, slow carbs, for example, peppers, onions, and then healthy fats and olive oil. Lard would be acceptable. I would say definitely go for it. Crisco, it is a man-made fat. And I know that in baking, it is amazing for certain textures and outcomes with baking products. The challenge with Crisco being a man-made fat, they have trans fats, partially hydrogenated fats, and those are known now to slow metabolism, cloud mental cognition. They can actually perpetuate inflammation, increase body pain in the body. So I would not cook with Crisco. I would avoid it. Appreciate the question. That's an awesome question. First time question. Thank you so much. There was another.
We have one in-house.
Oh, we have an in-house question.
Can you use ghee?
Yes, absolutely. You can use ghee. Ghee, we've brought ghee up in previous episodes. So ghee is basically you melt butter and you remove the milk solids. So it's just butter. It's just milk fat, butter fat. It has a higher smoke point. The casein's been removed. So some people that have dairy sensitivities, they can handle using ghee. Higher smoke point as a result. It's really popular in Indian cooking in certain Asian cuisines, African cuisines. We cook with ghee a lot at our house. I love ghee. All right, our pork is getting some color at this point. We've got nice sizzle going. This is good. We are going to cut up our onions and our peppers. We're going to add the spices. You could, if you want, and I always talk about how do you make life easier in the kitchen for you. If you want to have peppers that you already chopped up in your fridge, that you chopped up and you stored in your freezer, absolutely go for it. I want to get all the barriers out of the way. We're going to slice these up. You can do it a variety of ways. I can just start slicing right here, or I like this technique that I started a few years ago, where I just nip off the ends and then I do the straight down strokes. You notice I'm using my my fingers as a guide, my knuckles specifically. We're going to add those in with the onions there. I'll show you that again. Now, actually, I'll show you the other way you can do it. Trimming off the one end, and we'll save the other end. And I only need a cup of onions, so I'm almost done here actually. But if you want to instead do it like this, that's totally fine. Okay, different technique, but we get the same the same outcome. I have more than enough onions, so we're going to add those into our...
Pamela says, thank you. I didn't know that. Cool. I will use Crisco on my cookies.
Say that again?
Pamela says, thank you for the question for the Crisco.
You're welcome.
I didn't know that. I will use Crisco on my cookies.
Go for it, or even try lard. It might change the texture a little bit, but I would, and I'm not a baker, full disclosure, so I'm going to come at it through a nutritional health standpoint. I don't want to sabotage your baking goods, but I just want you to be aware of what you're using and how it can affect your body. All right, we're going to trim, or we're going to peel out our seeds here, and then we're going to add our peppers. Again, it's so simple, folks. Just letting the knife do the work. Slice that up. You notice that my knife catches a little bit on the skin of the pepper. So if that's the case, you can always just flip it over, and then you can continue on and but again, letting the knife do the work. I'm going to do it again. Just keep it simple. If you have to press it down, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to get all the barriers out of your way so that you can do this and feel comfortable. All right. We got good sizzle, meaning we have good heat. We're now going to add our spices. We're going to add paprika. And I used a smoked paprika. Okay, the difference in it is the depth of flavor. Going back to Brendan's question about the heat, again, there's not a heat, but we got a really nice depth of flavor with that smokiness. There's Spanish paprika, there's Hungarian paprika, there's smoked paprika. I use them in different ways. Hungarian paprika has a very full flavor, and again, then smoked paprika really goes in even stronger. I just added the parsley, garlic powder, cumin. Really good. Now, we have enough heat, and we have some good fat in here. When the spices hit the pan and hit that heat with the fat, they're going to start to open up. And do you remember what that technique's called? What's the anyone remember? Put it in the chat box. I'd like to know. What's the technique that we're talking here? We're going to let that continue to cook. Questions, comments, thoughts? Anybody? Letting this cook. This is a very simple recipe. Speaking of recipes, and I talked about benefits, health benefit. I'm going to just keep driving the spices right now. I love spices. Not only do they make your food taste great, look great, and smell great, but these combination of spices with the garlic, the cumin, and the paprika, and the dried parsley, those are going to help ease digestive issues. So for any of you that ever get nauseous or feel bloated, or you get just like tummy ache, I want you to incorporate more spices. Spices are going to really work for you, so make sure that you're doing that. It's going to make that taste great. Awesome.
Teresa
Okay.
says that looks so good.
It
Tess
is
says
dynamite.
blooming.
What's that?
Blooming?
Yes. Yep. Blooming. We're going to bloom the spices, blossom the spices. All right. This looks great. All right. While this is cooking, I want to give a shout out. Every week, we acknowledge those that worked hard on their recipe, and we want to share that. Please make sure that you're submitting. Do not eat your whole dish before you take a picture. Until you take a picture, I should say. Some folks take pictures with, in the process. I love that. If you're cooking with a loved one, if it's date night, family night, anytime night that you're cooking, take a picture. Finished product, as you'll see. All right, let's talk last week's recipes. We've got BK says, due to unexpected events, I was unable to use the tilapia. Well, I'm intrigued, BK. Had jumbo shrimp in the freezer, though. We made the ginger citrus shrimp. That's awesome. And I love the fact that you stretched yourself, you improvised, you made it happen. That's the whole point of this show, is to help you build that confidence to make it work. Pam says it was very good and flavorful for how bland it looked. Well, I gotta say, Pam, it looks pretty awesome. And she must say, Chef, that yours look way better. Well, I have to say, yours look pretty awesome, and I'm so glad that it tastes great. Awesome. Teresa says, missed the show, but OMG, so good. Teresa, thank you for making it, and thank you for sharing your picture. That is absolutely beautiful, and that's the whole point is, have fun with us in real time or whenever you want. Lionel shows, I love his action shots. He's got it in the pan and he's got the finished product. Well done, Lionel. Thanks for sharing your pictures, folks. If you want more help in the kitchen, grab our Smart Nutrition Cookbook and Meal Planner. Just go to chefmarshallobrien.com. Well done. All right, our dish is basically ready. Now, I was a little hasty in slicing the peppers, and you could certainly have them be thinner. That'd be fine. And they're big, but that's okay. So you just cook them how you want. It's important, do not burn the spices. We were kind of joking, saying, should we put a graphic up about that? But I want to just point that out because sometimes, depending on how your pan reacts and how much moisture is in there, you could potentially burn the spices, and you don't want to do that. Now, the last point is we add in the water, and I actually meant to add the water a little bit earlier, but that's okay. And we're going to want it to sizzle. Now, if you have a big pan like this, you're going to get a sizzle, and it is going to, we want it to reduce by, until it's just kind of glossy on the vegetables. You might be asking, what's the point of this? We're trying to just make a simple pan sauce. A couple of caveats, going back to the question about farm to table or yard to table, depending on the size of your yard and what you have in your yard. When you buy certain kinds of meats, for example, with the pork tenderloin, oftentimes, because pork is such a lean meat, it can dry out and people overcook it. Oftentimes they'll put a brine solution, inject it into the meat, and that's fine. I personally am not a big fan of that. I'd like to have my meat be just straight up, and then I can always season it and add moisture. So having said that, when you cook your dish, if you find it to be really saucy already, that's just the moisture from the meat coming out. That's okay. Then you're going to add, this as we did, and we want to let it cook down. So if you feel that it's already pretty saucy, maybe you add half that water. Maybe you add a quarter of that water. If you are buying pork from a local farmer, like we were talking about, you won't have that moisture. You won't have nearly that moisture, so you can just follow the recipes as we said. All right, I see Olivia waving hands. Yes, do you want to share something? You pointed, you want me to what?
Watch the pan.
Watching the pan, okay. Now, your job is camera, not director, okay?
I thought you have a question.
So, yeah, do you have a question or what? All right, moving forward. So I'll let that cook. It's going to reduce, and then thanks TV Magic. Well, actually, I guess auditory because I didn't make a pan, but you can see how it's simmering. Again, the wider the pan, controlling your heat, making sure that you don't overdo it. Questions, comments, thoughts? Questions, comments, thoughts?
Pamela says, I love how you are okay with forgetting to do something right away. No big deal. Fix it, edit. You make this time fun.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And I appreciate you being here. Look, I just want you to enjoy. I want you to have a fun evening. I want you to cook with me. I'm human. I make mistakes all the time. I'm trying to think. I wish I could think of something silly that happened recently. Maybe there's something you want to bring up. I don't remember. But the point is, we're going to goof. And if you can just take yourself, I used to take myself really serious, and then I kind of lightened up. If you can do that, it's just going to make it so much easier. We have to eat, okay? I want to empower you in your kitchen and in your life so you can make the changes that you want in your kitchen and in your life. So it's good. I'm glad that resonates with you. Awesome. We got some comments now.
So one of our daughters remembered.
Yes, go for it.
The time we made chicken tenders and not chicken nuggets.
That's great. Okay, so can I make a quick story? Talking about setting expectations and being flexible. Well, Isla wanted chicken. She wanted chicken nuggets. And I did not do it the way she wanted. And she let me know and raised heck about it. So I learned how to do it the way she wanted. And then the next time it was, she loved it. So appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you. Okay, let's move forward, folks. All right, dishes, we'll say that, again, in truth, you're going to want this to be saucy, or you want it to be just coating your veggies. We got some moisture. Here's what I want you to take away with from tonight's recipe. Okay, we're going to recap tips. Number one, this is going to be a tip that I didn't talk about. If you want to use loin, pork loin, we use the tenderloin. Very tender, right? If you want to use a pork loin, that's a lot bigger piece. And I brought it up in the beginning, but I didn't actually explain it. It's a much bigger piece of meat. That's where pork chops come in, whether it's a boneless pork chop or a bone-in pork chop. the loin itself. You could use that. It's going to be even leaner. It's going to be drier and tougher than the tenderloin. So just be prepared for that. It's just a different texture, but it'll work fantastic. So you could substitute that out if you want. Next thing I want you to think about is, whenever possible, how can you prep your veggies in advance? With again, having them in the fridge or the freezer. And if you're just like, hey, I love this recipe, but I want to do it, I gotta save more time. Frozen veggies, pre-chopped, sliced, diced, that's fine too. Spices, okay? Today we're talking about how these spices can help ease digestion. So if you feel have nausea, feel bloated at all, get spices in your dishes, breakfast, lunch, dinner, okay? Anytime you can, I really want you to do that. I think that's it on my tips. Oh, we got another tip. Yeah.
Tess wants to know, would it be all right to add a slurry instead of just water?
Yeah, you can. So slurry is going to be a cornstarch water mix. And what that will do is you're going to take, I'm trying to remember, I believe it's equal parts, give or take, maybe 2-to-1 ratio of water to cornstarch. Mix it up. You're going to pour that in there, and it's going to create, it's going to get thick once it, it's going to get thick once it comes to a boil. And you can see now this is where we want it to be. This is getting nice and glossy here from the sugars and the proteins. That looks great. So, but you could definitely do a slurry if you wanted to. Okay.
And
yes, please. No, that's why we're here. We want to answer your questions. I love it. Let us. What questions do you have?
Teresa is asking, would this be good with substituting chicken or beef with the same spices?
Absolutely. We were talking about that before tonight's episode. You could use any kind of meat that you want. It would be great. You want to go ground beef. You want to go chicken. Yes, yes, and yes. It'd be dynamite. And speaking of, trying different things, one of the things I wanted to point out was you can, you want to have it with some quinoa, with some rice. How about just by itself? I would have it, I would just have it by itself. I think it would taste great. This is a really protein-focused dish. How about, so we've got just straight up, that's obviously really hot and ready to go. How about as on top of a spinach salad? That would be fantastic. Okay, a lot of times people don't think, they think, okay, salad, it's got to be all cold. Not the case, my friends. So you could take, now you may want to cool it off, but having wilted spinach is totally fine. So we would put some of that, and even like just the sauce would be great as a great flavor enhancer for our spinach. I mean, doesn't that look dynamite? So you could have this on a spinach salad. Oh, we talked about how to stage this. Sorry, Alex, I already dropped the ball on that. Okay, we're going to put that right there. He's laughing at me. Here we go.
Says in a wrap.
You could do it in a wrap. You could do this. We've got some tortillas. You could put a little cojita cheese. It's a Mexican style cheese. Any kind of cheese, really, if you want to have cheese on there. I'm going to put that on like that. Okay, this looks great.
They say the aroma in the kitchen.
Yeah, you know what? We're so close to that smell of vision working, but we can put some of the cheese on there. This looks great. Point is, going back to, and I apologize, I think it was Teresa that asked, put a little lime juice on there. It'd be great. Some cilantro. You're all set. We've got great options. Okay, you got an awesome dish all by itself. Okay, awesome dish all by itself. But you've got easily a couple of ways that you can go. I like the burrito route. Come up, this is all about you. Folks, if you're watching saying, hey, this is kind of cool, I want to make the recipes, please sign up so that you can cook with me in real time or at your leisure. Go to chefmarshallobrien.com/show. Okay? Really important. Thank you so much for joining me today. Okay, did you start? Have you started? We're going to keep moving. Thank you so much for joining me today. I love cooking with you, and I hope you enjoy today's dinner. Okay? Please make sure, join Facebook, join YouTube, Chef Marshall O'Brien on Facebook, Chef Marshall O'Brien Instagram, and on YouTube, Chef Marshall's Cooking with Confidence. Please be a subscriber. You're going to have to wait. Sorry, love. Next week, I'll tell you about next week in just a second, but if you want more help in the kitchen, okay, if you're looking for more help in the kitchen, chefmarshallobrien.com/shop or smartnutritioncookbook.com. It's really great. It's a great resource. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, multi-cooker dishes, slow cookers, dips, dressings, all that kind of stuff. If you've got anyone in your life that's trying to get more confidence and setup in the kitchen. Next week, we're going to do a shrimp dish, and it's going to be dynamite, okay? So please tune in next week. It's going to be great. Everybody, enjoy. Please send your pictures. We'll see you next week. Thank you.